It makes me think of this episode in Mr. Robot. Elliot just destroyed this guy to talk to his manager. It was brutal. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. I just woke up and I'm very tired. If you're new here, my name's Ash, I'm 27, I'm a cybersecurity enthusiast, and on this channel we learn all things cybersecurity, hacking, capture the flags, programming, and that sort of good stuff. On today's video, we will be continuing the advent of Cyber 2022 tryhackme event. We're currently on day 6, email analysis. If you'd like to see any of the previous episodes, there'll be a playlist, all timestamps, and links will be in the description below. With that all being said, let's get into it. Okay, I'm on tryhackme.com, up to task 11. And we've got day 6 email analysis here. As per usual, we have a video walkthrough. It turns out that we found some email activity while analyzing the log files. It looks like everything started with an email. Ooh. So in this day, we're going to be going over why email analysis still matters and what it is, email header sections, important questions to ask around email analysis, using those headers to evaluate an email, additional tools for email attachments, and we will be investigating this suspicious email. First up, what is email analysis? It's the process of extracting the email header information to expose the email file details. So headers contain technical details of the email, like the sender, recipient, path, return address, and attachments. And usually there's enough information there to detect suspicious or abnormal, and filtering or quarantine can get rid of emails. But that's the automated way. We're going to be doing things a bit more manual, as you know, this email has gone through the detection system still. So now it's up to us to manually figure it out. So there's 2 main concerns in email analysis: security issues, identifying suspicious, abnormal, malicious patterns in emails; performance issues, identifying delivery and delay issues in emails. So we're going to be focusing on security concerns, also known as phishing. There's a couple terms that we're going to be needing to know and be familiar with. So the first one, social engineering. So this is psychological manipulation. So this is finding some sort of weakness in the person to have them give you information, maybe where a system is, or who's at work that day, or even performing an action like resetting a password or giving you access to a room. So these weaknesses or emotions could be something like curiosity, jealousy, greed, kindness, willingness to help someone. It makes me think of this episode in Mr. Robot, where Elliot's social engineering this really nice gentleman to get into, I think it was the backup facility of E Corp. Elliot just destroyed this guy to talk to his manager. It was brutal. And then the second point is phishing, which is a subsection of social engineering delivered through emails to trick someone into revealing personal information, credentials, or executing malicious code on a computer. So phishing emails will usually appear to come from a trusted source, so someone who's already in the business, and it's all just an attempt, like social engineering, to exploit them, trick them, and use a vulnerability. But the step further is then you can maybe download something on their system via sending them a link. Yeah, and phishing is still a very common way of people getting into networks in real world hacks today. So next section, does the email analysis still matter? Should it just be email analysis? Remove the. Anyway, yes. Various academic researchers and technical reports highlight that phishing attacks are still extremely common, effective, and difficult to detect. Let's face it, the weakest link's always going to be a person. So emails are never going away, messages will never go away, so phishing attacks will probably never go away. Yeah, so it's still used in penetration testing or red teaming implementations, meaning it's an important skill for us to learn. And in the case that you are hired to do something, but there's no budget for automated solutions, so getting expensive software to do the job for us, a manual analysis will always work. So an important note is that a true in-depth analysis requires an isolated environment, meaning downloading all the emails and attachments to your own system, a secure system in an isolated environment off a network. And that way you can evaluate the headers using raw format to conduct essential checks and always communicate to a team if you are doing this properly. So next section, how to analyze emails. So before we can get into it, we need to understand the structure. If you've done any of the previous tryhackme rooms that involve web hackings and web requests, you might have seen like web headers. Headers in the web world, like in my head anyway, are sort of similar to what we've got going on here. So we've got a from field, which makes sense, the sender's address. To field, the receiver's address. That's including your CC and your BCC. So that's if you've carbon copied somebody into the, or blind carbon copied someone into the email. Never actually knew what those acronyms stood for. Used them my whole life. If you actually don't know, it's just when you like include someone in the email, but it's not going to them, they can just see the result. It's essentially the same. The email still goes to them, but it's just a way of saying, hey, you're included in this email, you're gonna get a copy. Date, timestamp when the email is sent. Subject of the email. Return path, that's the return address. If you hit reply to, it's going to go to a certain return address. Domain key and DKIM signatures. Domain keys identified mail. It's an email security standard designed to make sure messages aren't altered. Okay, good to have. So services to identify and authenticate emails. SPF, sender policy framework. More authentication services. So it shows the server that was used to send the email, which helps to understand if the actual server is used to send the email from a specific domain. Message IDs, just a unique ID of email. Maybe a string of letters and numbers, maybe something like that. MIME version, multi-purpose internet mail extensions. So an internet standard that extends the format of all emails to support text, characters set to other than ASCII. So attachments of videos. Okay, so this gives us more rich features that we're used to. Helps to understand non-text contents and attachments. X headers, so experimental features, and that's up to the mail provider to use these. X received, so any mail servers that the email has gone through to get to the end target. X spam status, so a spam score of the email. X mailer, the email client name. So next up, important email header fields for quick analysis. I'm glad it says it. Analyzing multiple header fields can be confusing at first glance. So starting from some key points or questions can make it slightly easier. So questions to ask or required checks. Do the from, to, and CC fields contain valid email addresses? Having invalid email addresses is a red flag. Makes sense? Do the from and to fields are the same? Okay, that wording is not great. Do the from and to fields include the same address? Or are the from and to fields the same? Again, makes sense, that would be a red flag. Do the from and return path fields, are the from and return fields the same? Also a return flag, because you should be hitting reply to and going back to the person who sent you the email. Was the email sent from the correct server? So email should have come from the official mail servers of the sender. So if it says Gmail, it should come from a Google IP, a Google Mail server. Does the message ID field exist? Is it valid? So that was the unique ID. So I don't really know what a message ID actually looks like, but I assume that there's a standard for what that looks like. If that's missing or it looks unusual in any way, maybe it's just like 0000, that would be weird. Do the hyperlinks redirect to suspicious or abnormal sites? So that's a common one. Like if you do get an email and you just hover over a link and it's going to some weird website, red flag. And attachments consisting of malware. I would say that that's a little bit of a red flag. Just a little bit. You'll also need an email header parser tool or configure a text editor to highlight and spot email headers details easily. Oh, interesting. So we could use a code or text editor that's got that built in. The difference between the raw and parse views of the email. So just like any coding language, if it's all just the same color, it gets really hard for us to tell what's going on. So that makes sense. Sublime text works. I know that John Hammond uses Sublime and a lot of people like Sublime, so I haven't actually used it. I think I might give it a go. So it looks like we'll have a .eml file and we can drag and drop that into Sublime Text to open it. So a .eml or a .msg extension, Sublime Text will automatically detect that. But if it's just a .txt, you can manually change it by doing that. Okay, this is really helpful. Thank you. I know that there's a shortcut to do this too, so we'll figure that out once we're in. Text editors are helpful in analysis, but there are some tools that can help you to view the email details in a clearer format. In this task, we will use Email Analyzer to view the body of email and analyze the attachments. The Email Analyzer tool is designed to parse email headers for a better view of the analysis process. So we've got our main command. We've got our file to analyze, so I probably input to the file name. You can go full path or dash header to show the headers of the file. -u will show URLs, -- text, show clear text data, and then extract all attachments. Okay, so got an example. So we run the tool, we run the input, and this is urgent / colon. Oh, okay, so if you look at the file, they've actually got a colon in the file name. And in this case, that's an escape character, which tells your command line to use the colon or any character after that. Ooh, that tripped me out for a second. Okay, so this is a look at our headers for this urgent file. Subject urgent, blue section is down, switch to the load share plan. Okay, and we've got all this redacted information. I'm not sure if that's actually a thing, or is this just for this example so we don't cheat, we don't see it. We'll see. So it says at this point you should have completed some stuff. So I think it's time that we jump into our virtual machine. So if we scroll back up, we've got start machine, and we won't be using our local VM machine. We've actually got a show split view at the very top. I'm just going to go view full screen. I'm just going to get them side by side like so. Okay, great. We've got our remote virtual machine. And if you remember from a last video, we learned about VNC. Well, that's actually what's being used by tryhackme for us to get access to this virtual machine. So pretty cool. All right, so let's open Sublime Text and we'll follow the instructions that we had. So we'll get our EML file and we'll just drag it into Sublime. All right, and we have our color coordinated headers, which is nice. So let's start going back over those questions we read earlier. We've got our from and to address, and they are from different people, so that's okay. Are they valid addresses rather? The fictitious emails, so I'm not really sure how to test that. They are written in a valid format, so I'm gonna assume they're valid. Are the from and return paths the same? Ooh. So Bandit Yeti is our adversary for this challenge. Oh no, they've stuffed up. This is suspicious. So if we look at the delivered to, we've got elves.all, implying this has gone out to everyone. So if the return path Murphy.evident, if that wasn't suspicious enough, then sending this blank email to everyone, that's sus. So this message ID looks a little sus. It looks like it's encoded in base 64. I know this from doing pass capture the flags, and these two equal signs at the end tell me that. Let's just quickly go over to CyberChat, paste that in and go from base 64, and that says AOC 2022 email analysis. So that just might be from the room creator. Maybe all email IDs are in base 64. I'm not actually sure. So yeah, that's for the message ID being valid. Also, was the email sent from the correct server? That was for SPF, the Sender Policy Framework. Do a Control F and type in SPF. I don't think that's our one match, and that is not it. So we don't have an SPF on this one. Man, I'm just looking at the size of this thing. Jeez. Okay, so hyperlinks and malware, so I'm not really sure how to test that either. So we'll just keep following. So we'll go back to this email analyzer tool. So let's open up terminal in our remote virtual machine. So if we just go over to our desktop, that's where we'll have our EML file. Just make sure we have email analyzer installed. Great. I'm just going to cheat and I'm just going to copy that over. Awesome. Paste that in, hit enter, and see what we get. It looks like it's extracted all of the same information. Since we've used those other flags in the command, it has a section here for URLs. There were none found, plain text, which is found, and we can see the raw HTML here. And that extract all has now got this division of a labor load share plan .doc. So a document has been downloaded. And if we hit ls, we can see that it's created an EML attachments folder and it's put that doc inside. So yes, it does contain some attachments, and we can use some OSINT by going to emailrep.io. A simple email reputation. And we're going to check the sender's address. This is cool. So we can go ahead and copy the sender address. We can paste it in there and do a little search. Risky. The domain is valid, but doesn't have a valid MX record. So MX records, I guess, show if there's an email associated to it or allows for emails. So what about if we use, so the same thing. It might just be because they're not actually real emails. There's just no records. This email's not deliverable and the domain has a low reputation. So yeah, I think that's like actually legit then. Okay, so this brings us to this next section involving VirusTotal in InQuest. Now I've used VirusTotal in previous tryhackme rooms. InQuest I have not. So VirusTotal is a service that provides cloud-based detection toolset and sandbox environment. So it's great if you are unsure of a single file like this, upload the file and it will show you if any other systems have detected it. So other antivirus tools and what they have on their systems. So yeah, widely used in the industry. InQuest, a service provides network and file analysis by using threat analytics. Okay, cool. Sounds similar. IPinfo.io, a service that provides detailed information about an IP address by focusing on geolocation data and service provider. Talus Reputation, an IP reputation check service provided by Cisco. URLscan.io, a service that analyzes websites by simulating regular user behavior. Browserling, a browser sandbox, is used to test suspicious and malicious links. Wanna Browser, the same thing. Cool, so these are great to have bookmarked. I should bookmark these. So after completing the mentioned initial checks, you continue with body and attachment analysis. So let's focus on analyzing the email body and attachments. The sample doesn't have URLs, as we found out, only an attachment. You need to compute the value of the file to conduct a file-based reputation checks and further your analysis. As shown, you can use a SHA-256 sum tool utility to calculate the file's hash. So if we go SHA-256 sum, so this is going to give our hash for this, and we'll go inside EML attachments, and there should only be one file in there. So this long string here, that is our 256 hash. So I'm just going to make a copy of that off screen. So we have an example of how to use it there too. So once we've got the sum of the file, you go and use VirusTotal. So let's navigate over there and we can search URL, IP address, domain, or file hash. So we can paste that in, hit enter, and we've got a bunch of, oh no, this is bad, don't go near this. That's the detection. We go details, relations, behavior, and community. So it says click on the behavior tab, analyze the details. A little bit broad, but Okay, so if we scroll down to the Mitre attack tactics and techniques, we've got an execution section, and it's saying here for scripting, document contains an embedded VBA or Visual Basic something macros for suspicious strings. So because I watch YouTube and John Hammond, Visual Basics, old coding language, can be used inside of documents like in Word or Excel, and that can execute things to open or run things on our computer. So it looks like our suspicious Word doc is going to try and run some macros. So files dropped. So it says when executing the file being studied, it dropped the following files, some other path on the disk. We have registry key sets. So processes trees. So it then has a few processes, so we've got like WinWord. Okay, so without even actually touching the file myself, I've got a pretty good idea of what it might be doing. So yeah, let's go over to InQuest. We'll go indicator lookup and we'll paste in that hash. And we've got malicious, full page results. Click the SHA-256 when highlighted. Cool, here we go. Analyze the file details. Yes, sir. Subcategory macro hunter. Okay, looks like this is the GitHub page for InQuest. Any official files with macros. They're calling a macro hunter. Interesting. So they have the other hashes. So if I used another hash algorithm like MD5 and I got that hash, I would still come here. Very cool. I bet VirusTotal has the same thing. So they have some machine learning and the AI is 99% confident. Some interesting things. Document with few pages. So documents contain between 1 or 3 pages of content. Most malicious documents are sparse in page count. Macro with startup hook. Detect macro lock logic that detected macro logic that will automatically execute on document open. Most malware contains some execution hook. makes sense. If you've got a malicious document, you want it just to run straight away when somebody opens it. And then some suspicious strings, like privilege function calls, something man, I can never say it. Obfuscated. Please help me. Right, so here's the logic. So I don't know how to obfuscate, but that's what would be the process here. They've written out the malicious code and then they've changed it so that's just not easily detected or easily readable. So then we would have to manually switch it back. I don't know how to do that. Oh wow, and we've got some metadata. That's cool. Okay, so after finishing the shown steps, you have finished your initial email analysis. Gotta say, I enjoyed it. I liked blue teaming. The next steps are creating a report of findings and informing the team members and manager of in the appropriate format. Now it's time to learn what we've practiced. Click on the start. I've already done all of it. I thought it said earlier that you should have started this. Anyway, so important notes. Given email sample contains a malicious attachment, never directly interact with unknown email attachments outside of an isolated environment. If you're mucking around with malware, don't infect yourself. Okay, so let's go over our questions from what we've gathered thus far. What is the email address of the sender? So if we scroll back to our email analyzer results, the from header shows us chief elf, so we can copy paste that in. What is the return address? And this is where we determine that it was different. So we've got murphy.evident at our bandit yeti, Control-Shift-C. The next question, on whose behalf was the email sent? So we've got chief elf. Next, we've got what is the X spam score? So X-PM-spam score, we've got 3. Next up, what is hidden in the value of message ID field? So I already did this earlier. That was, I can't remember. Let's do it again. Let's grab that back over to CyberChef, paste it in, and get our answer there. So the hint says IDs are not usually base 64. If you saw, so decode the value and understand what's hidden there. Okay, good to know that they're not usually in base 64. So maybe they are just a random string. Maybe they're, So next we've got visit the email reputation check website provided in the task. What is the reputation result of the sender's email address? Risky. So that was on emailrep.io. So next, check the attachment. What is the file name of the attachment? So that was also in our scan. So we've got division underscore of labor underscore dash load underscore share underscore plan dot doc. Next, what was the hash value of the attachment? So I'm assuming it's wanting that SHA-256 hash. So we can paste that in from earlier. Remember, that's what we ran SHA-256 sum against that document. Visit the VirusTotal website and use the hash value to search. Navigate to the behavior section. What is the second tactic marked in the Mitre ATT&CK section? So back to VirusTotal, go down to this, and the second tactic, I'm gonna say defense evasion. Nice. And back to InQuest and search the hash like we did. What is the subcategory of the file? And we learned that was macro_hunter. Awesome. So that brings us to the end of day 6 email analysis. So stick around and thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. I do appreciate you being here. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe on this video. Ding that bell, I do appreciate it. With that all being said, I will see you in the next one. Have a good day and bye.